What's going on YouTube? Cloverbells here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be recapping and going over the results from the recent Victory Road March Challenge that took place this past weekend. Another big online tournament. Again, 200 and plus players, very, very good turnouts for an online grassroots tour. And again, it's just more data that we can look at as we move forward through what is now almost the end of month 5 in Regulation G. Remember, there's still things to play for. We have Stockholm coming up this weekend over on the other side, right? So again, if you're going there, this is something that you want to take a look at just to see what people are using, what people are trying here, because that is the most recent tournament coming up here. All right, so again, we'll look at the teams, we'll look at the usage rates, and we'll just try and dissect what exactly looks pretty good right now. If there's any kind of niche Pokemon that are finding a role, you know, at this point in the format, there's always going to be some, right? But again, it's just things that we want to keep our eyes on, right, as we move forward, and especially into that final month there of Regulation G, you know, coming up in April. Again, I don't know how many people are going to be playing at that point, just because there is, you know, anticipation for the new format being announced that first week of April. And, you know, a lot of people are saying double restricted, right? But until they actually do that, you know, we don't know. Okay, but anyway, so let's take a look at the squads here and let's see what we can find. All right, just looking at the usage stats for the restricteds over here, CSR taking top place over here, you know, 23% day 1 usage, then almost 30 in the day 2 usage there. So that's no surprise in all honesty, right? And, you know, Miraidon close behind somewhat, is 6-point differential in day 2 there, but we expected this, right? And normally the Ice Rider would be within the top 3, but it is not in this case. In fact, it actually is the Terrapagos taking 3rd place there. But again, you know, 7 Pagos teams in day 2 versus 6 in day 2 for the Ice Rider. So almost nearly neck and neck there. And funny enough, like, Terrapagos has had great success in these Victory Road tours, right? Much more than the regional results there, which is interesting enough, right? But anyway, so broken spread moves are key here, right? Again, the Calyrex, the Ice Rider, are doing what they've been doing for a while now. And then, of course, the Pagos, tons of pressure there, especially with that Calm Mind substitute set there. Very hard to break sometimes. And then the Miraidon just does so much damage with the choice specs, and you already know the common partners that it's going to have there. But we did see some interesting niche options amongst the Miraidon teams, which we're going to preview in a second. But look at Calyrex here, right? So now in day 2, we have 4 Calyrex teams now, right? Which is a little bit more of a carryover from what we have seen recently. You know, very interesting to see if those were Clear Amulet or even Life Orb Calyrex. So we'll take a look at that. Zamazenta, look at this dip here. You know, I didn't think Zamazenta would ever dip below, you know, something like Calyrex or even Terrapagos, right? But just 6%, only 3 Zamazentas in day 2 usage there. Now, take it with a grain of salt. It just might be, you know, the timing. But if Zamazenta's on the rise, I'm sorry, if Calyrex on the rise, then this is gonna dip a little bit, right? So I wonder if this is gonna carry over into Stockholm. I'm not sure, but I do know that these Calyrex teams are definitely gonna have an advantage over the Zom builds right now, and we'll look at that and see why when we look at the squads here. Kyogre and Lunala coming down here. In the tail ends, you know, not too many Kyogres in day 2. There were a couple, and a lot more people are trying Lunala now, but look, none in day 2. Okay, and there's actually more Zacian than Lunala teams there, but you can imagine that's probably some sort of Regidrago hyper offense. So we'll see that in a second here. And then Eternatus, people are trying something now with the Eternatus, and not very successful in day 2, you know, as expected. You know, you can always do like the Cosmic Power set, the stall outs. Sometimes you can run the Dynamax cannon with, you know, power meter beam stuff with a little bit more hyper offense with the Tinkaton. Ideally, we've seen some success there, but all in all, it's just not as good as these guys over here on the left side. So honestly, I'm not really all that surprised with these guys down here. I am a little surprised with Zamazenta dipping this low. But again, that could just be a little bit of variance, you know, given when and where the tour was being played. And, you know, as I said, it was an online tournament, of course. But anyway, let's look at the non-restricteds and let's see if we can find some information there before we look at the squads. So now over here, just in terms of overall usage, no surprises, honestly, with the top 3 there. Look at Incineroar now. Actually, this should be number 1 here over the Urshifu because, again, 60% in day 2. That's a very strong conversion rate, 47 to 60%. And Urshifu more or less staying the same here, basically hovering also around that 60 percentile, high 50s. And that's probably going to stay that way for, the rest of the way, in all honesty. Like, Fake Out and Surging Strikes are just way too good. These Fire Water Grass cores with Rillaboom are quite strong here. But look at Iron Hands. Again, Iron Hands has been creeping in the upward turn in recent weeks just because people are using it not just on those Miraidon teams. Now people are using it on some of those hyper-offensive teams, especially with the Kyogres and the Calyrex Shadow Rider teams there. So it makes a lot of sense. It's a good Terapagos check, and it does, quite well, or it can be a little bit more favorable into the Ice Rider just because, Low Kick does so much damage there. Drain Punch gives you good recovery. And then, of course, Fake Out Pressure with Urshifu is quite strong, and it gives you a decent mod to play in Trick Room. So Iron Hands, very strong right now. Amoonguss also, no surprise here within the top 6 there. Just gives you something to play in Trick Room. Spore is broken, redirection, and healing support. And then stuff like, Raging Bolt, Flutter Mane, and the Ogre Pawns here are rounding out your bottom half. But actually, look at Flutter Mane here, just going down outside of the top 6 here. But again, a little bit of variance, but still Flutter Mane, one of the best, high A tier, low S tier mods that you can be having right now. Icy Wind and Thunder Wave support, benefiting from photosynthesis, really good into Urshifu, especially with the fairy coverage and some of the other dark types that are running around there. And then the Raging Bolt there, priority Thunderclap. You already know what this thing's supposed to do. Pretty good pressure into the Urshifu. Rapid Strike, of course. Then the Ogre Pawns are still very good right now. Sturdy is busted, as we've been saying for the Rock Ogre Pawn. And then Heart Flame, just a very, very good, solid, high damage dealer that can also be supportive with Follow Me, right? Here's your Miraidon check here with the Landorus. And of course, being 1 point faster than Chiyu is very important because you get to Earth Power it first, assuming this is not Scarfed, of course. But there are some variants with Scarf Landorus, so, the Chiyu is out of luck there. Then you get stuff like, Indeedee, Ferrograph, and then the Tailwind Mons, right? So those are always going to be solid just because speed control is important. Denying priority is important. Chenpao having the same speed tier as the base 135s, like another Flutter Mane, like a Miraidon, like a Koraidon. It's going to be important. You get to blow up terrain with Ice Spinner, priority Sucker Punch into the Calyrex. Very, very good Pokemon right now. And when you couple this with something like Iron Hands or even the Heart Flame Ogre Pawn here, or even Urshifu, those options are just going to be doing so much more damage because of Sword of Ruin, right? And then after that, you get these guys. These are more niche options depending on the art type, of course. So they'll find their ways on some of the other teams, but at least, we can safely say, 1 through almost 12 here, or 1 through 16. These are like the best staples that have been relevant in Regulation G. No real changes, honestly. They're just flip-flopping back and forth depending on, the time that these tournaments are playing and whatnot. A little bit of variance, but for the most part, there's very little argument for what is being used right now. So just getting in terms of a summary here, Fake Out's important, speed control is important, terrain's important, right? That's why Rillaboom is also having good uses, as well as like Indeedee stuff. Speed control besides the Tailwind Mons is important. The Flutter Mane can do that, the Raging Bolt can do that, and just having good damage breakers is important too. That's why Urshifu here is at number 1, of course, right? So, no real changes, in all honesty, but let's see how some of these teams have been able to utilize these Pokemon here. So let's take a look. All right, so here we are. We're going to look at the top 8 here, but as we go through these 8, what I want to also do is, just put some stuff here on a Google Doc here. What did the top 8 teams have, right? Because if you want to do a little bit of team building now, you have to understand what is making these teams so strong. What do they have that can really separate your team amongst the rest, right? And the way I like to think of it is in terms of food, right? Like what's going to make your sandwich different from another person's sandwich? It's going to be the toppings, right? So the toppings, even though you don't necessarily need them per se, because you already have the meat and the bread of the sandwich, but the toppings are going to make them taste different, okay? And because of that, that's just going to make you prefer one sandwich over the other, right? So that's just how I like to view it. So what do these sandwiches have in terms of toppings that some of the other sandwiches don't have here? So right away, okay, I'm looking at the restricteds. I see 4 Miraidon teams in the top 8, okay? That's already one thing I see, all right? Then I see 2 CSRs, 1 Ice Rider, and 1 Pagos here, okay? That's just on the surface. But what do they all have that is making them strong? Well, first of all, how many Tailwind Wands do you see here? 1, 2, okay, 3, 4, 5, okay? 5 Tailwind users of the 8, okay? 5 Tailwind users, okay? And that's important. So right away, 5 of the 8 teams have Tailwind, right? So some speed control is good, okay? That's already one thing. And then after that, look at all the Iron Hands here. 1, 2, 3, 4 Iron Hands here. And then how much Urshifu here? And also how much Incineroar? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 Incineroars and 4 Iron Hands here, all right? And of those, you have 2 of them that have both on the same team here, right? So after that, 4 of the 8 teams have Fake Out, okay? Or multiple Fake Outs, right? So that's also a key, right? This is coming from Incineroar plus Iron Hands, right? Very, very good balance in terms of, stopping damage. Really good, with what the Incineroar is supposed to do, parting shot and just cycling intimidates, weakening your opponent, right? Making sure they can't deal as much damage as they want to because of the cycling and the fake outs, right? After that, look at redirection. That's another topic here. So how many redirectors are we going to have here? 1, 2, 3 Clefairy counts, right? 4 Ogerpon. So already the top 4 teams have at least 1 redirection mod. Actually, technically 2 here because you have an Amoonguss here, but we'll still consider that, redirection as far as like 1 point there. Nothing here. 6th place, you have that one, right? The Ogerpons, and then, at 6th and 7th here. And then down here in 8th place, you have the Amoonguss here, right? So of the 8, okay, you have 5 teams. Did I count right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, 7. 7 of the 7 of the 8 teams have a redirector on the team. So that's kind of crazy, right? I think I counted right. 7 of the 8 teams have redirection, right? Sometimes multiple, okay? Right? This is coming from Clefairy, Ogerpons, right? And Amoonguss, right? So you have Tailwind, okay? We'll put that in red, just for a little bit of highlighting there. You have Fake Out, so speed control, and then you have redirection, right? So that's pretty good here. All right, I shouldn't really necessarily highlight Tailwind because some teams also have Trick Room, so, we can just highlight speed control anyway. Okay, and then you have, so speed control, fake out, redirection, and then what else do we have here? I guess you can also consider the Intimidate support here. Look at this, 1. So because you also have Incineroar here, so a little bit of damage mitigation, right? So 5 Intimidates of the 8 squads, right? So more damage mitigation coming from the Incin, right? So just by default, you're getting Intimidate and Fake Out coming from the Incin. So look at this. I got speed control, I got fake outs, I got redirection, and I have intimidate. So these are all things that the squads have that is making them relatively successful. Restricted aside, the A tiers aside, these are the things that they have on their squad. Do you need everything? Okay, no, of course not. But do you need some of this? Absolutely. Okay, so this is team building 101. Like with Pokemon aside, can you have these tools in VGC to separate your squad amongst the rest, right? So now let's actually dissect and let's see some of these sets from some of these mods, because I see some other interesting niche options here, right? So let's look at the classic mirror here. So Mr. Arubega, right, making one of the best teams in Scarlet and Violet today, because this squad is still good even right now, even since World Championships, right? So again, you're getting Whimsicott here, the Encore, the Light Screen, the Tailwind stuff, the Specs Miraidon, the Mystic Water Urge here, no Sash here, right? So we're going more damage here. And then look at this though, by the way. You got Focus Energy Heart Flame, which is very, very interesting. So there's your tech immediately right now. Focus Energy, you're going for the big crits, okay? Taunt Urshifu, right? Also forgoing the close combat, right? Because you're already getting quote-unquote fighting damage over here. But look at this. Fake Out, Drain Punch, Heavy Slam, and Low Kick, right? No Wild Charge, okay? We're going with the electric damage from the Miraidon here. We're forgoing the Wild Charge on the Iron Hands. Very interesting development there. right? So, you know, before we had to always like kind of choose, you know, between like heavy slam and low kick and then have the wild charge here. But you really need both, right? Because the heavy slam can snipe some of these fairies like a Fluttermane, for example. And then low kick is just really strong into the Ice Rider matchup. It's also pretty good into the mirror too. So that in itself does merit this kind of set here, right? And then the Furgraph, right? Just a standard Furgraph, you know, Electric Seed, Psychic, Foul Play damage for both the Ice Riders and the Shadow Rider, then Helping Hand for more damage, and then of course your other form of speed control in Trick Room here, right? By the way, can we actually see how many teams here had Trick Room? 1, 2, 3. Okay, all right, so you have 3 there in terms of like quote unquote Trick Room. Not as important as the Tailwind offense stuff, right? Just trying to get faster than everything, faster than the CSR, maybe allowing you to go for more bulk, okay, because you have Tailwind for the speed. So that's another thing that can help your EVs out a little bit, because if you have Tailwind, you don't necessarily need max speed. You can go slower, right? Invest more into your bulk, and then you still outspeed everything because the Tailwind is just ×2, right? So, you know, really, really cool 6 here. Again, it's just so good even right now. I had to play the mirror Shohei Kimura, right? We remember Shohei and the same stuff, right? It's the same kind of mirror here. Very, very good. Terra Poison Iron Hands, by the way. This is Terra Water Iron Hands. You know, a little bit of a difference there. But all in all, again, the fact that you're able to beat the mirror, you know, just goes to show you, like, again, you can still win. But again, very, very good 6. No surprise at this point. You're going to see this until the very end of regulationG. It's like one of the staple teams of Scarlet and Violet in terms of like VGC history lore, right? How about Louis Mark? Okay, so right here we have the support from the Clefairy and the Mienshao over here. And Feint is very strong with Calyrex Shadow Rider, whether this is coming from an Ogerpon, from a Mienshao, or if it's coming from something like a Tinkaton. Feint to break, protect, and break Wide Guard is going to be very important when you have something like a Shadow Rider on your side there. It's also why it's a pretty decent partner for the Ice Rider too. But Draining Kiss and Nasty Plot here, so you have the Fake Out and the Redirection to try and set that up. You have Sing for status. All right, you land this, and the Calyrex-Ice Rider is very sad. Covert Cloak Chiyu as opposed to Snarl. So not wanting to get faked out, not wanting to get Icy Winded, not wanting to get Snarled. And then you have your own taunt here. So all in all, standard Chiyu set that isn't Scarf. And then the Fluttermane, again, booster energy with Icy Wind. You know, getting that speed boost, allowing you to go for the faster Icy Wind onto another Shadow Rider is going to be important, to the point where like maybe your own CSR or Chiyu can pick up, because you get to click this first and outspeed them, right? So very standard Shadow Rider balance, not relying on the Tailwind support. Then we have Julio over here. You know, a little bit of a hybrid balance with Tailwind here. Yeah, Julio has been using this team for a very long time now. It's just the Earth Power Call mindset, no substitute here. But you do have Air Slash with Icy Wind here. So that's a little bit of a difference there for the Tornado. Sometimes you'll just see like Rain Dance and Taunt. But Julio is running a Tailwind set with Icy Wind. And again, another Urshifu for going the close combat here, because Aqua Jet is busted. Aqua Jet plus, you know, spread damage is very good. You know, it just picks up a lot here, especially all this, you know, Jet with, you know, Mystic Water, especially if you're Terra too, does a lot. That's a big priority damage there. And people have forgotten how much damage that does until, like, you know, in recent weeks, right? And to the point where, like, yeah, I can forgo close combat. I'd rather just, you know, rely on Surging Strikes and have Taunt here too, right? But again, double redirection with Fake Out. This is what's going to let you set up the Calm Mind. You know, these can play a little bit more slower just because of, you know, your defensive backbone here. But again, it's still very good if you just position properly, right? Then down here, we have our first niche option here with the Iron Boulder here. So this person loves to crit here, right? Especially with Life Orb, Urshifu. Okay, this one's keeping the close combat. But again, Iron Boulder with Core Drive, another Pokemon. Again, getting that terrain boost here. Gonna do a lot of damage. I'm not so sure if this is a, you know, for speed or this is for damage, right? In terms of their Core Drive here. But you do have Swords Dance here. So I would imagine this is a little bit more of a bulkier set. You know, just because you're clicking Swords Dance. But again, Mighty Cleave, you know, breaking through, protect and stuff like that, gonna do a lot of damage. You know, I wonder, you know, just with the Swords Dance, how much investment do you really need for this to just smash through an Ice Rider, for example, right? Zen Headbutt is a pretty cool tech there, I gotta admit. Okay, you know, I guess that can snipe potential Urshifus, right? You could snipe a Mungus, which could give Miraidon a little bit of trouble, you know, with redirection. And then this is also going to give Incineroar some problems too. Another Incineroar, just because can't intimidate it. You have the amulet there. Incin does not want to take a Mighty Cleave. So yeah, and then you know you can't really fake it up because you have a Fergraph on your side there. So you know the Whimsicott and the Fergraph, they stay here. This is the Roar Fergraph, by the way. So again, you can click a Draco Meteor, nuke something real quick, roar yourself out, reset your debuffs, bring something else in, and then just go from there, right? So that's the whole idea with the Roar tech on Fergraph there. So you know, nice job from Chris Large. Okay, with the large tech choice with the Iron Boulder there. Then, as you round out the bottom half of the top 8 here, look at Malharada, right? Again, Whimsicott with the Tailwind support, and then look at this Fake Out, Urshifu, Iron Hands, right? You could just slap these 3 with a lot of different teams here, and then it's just going to be really good. Give yourself a restricted there. There's your 4 mons here. But again, look at this Taunt. Incin with Rocky Helmet. Okay, very good against another Urshifu. Yeah, they want to click Surging Strikes. They're going to have to take some damage too. And then the Cornerstone Ogerpon here, redirection. So like double Fake Out, redirection. Yes, I can set up my nasty plot here and then just go ham with the Astral Barrage spell tag stuff too, right? Then Federico. Okay, the Flutterfish idea. With the Ice Rider, this is picking up a little bit more now. But again, you have Icy Wind here. You have the Scarf Chiyu. Very good lead that you can do and then just clean things up with Ice Rider in the back. Same thing here with like Ogerpon and Urshifu here. You can deal out a ton of damage, you know, and just keep your Urshifu safe with the redirection coming from the Ogerpon. Amoonguss Calyrex also is always going to be good. Trick Room and Spore is a very deadly combination. You can see here that they're foregoing Protect. And, you know, they really want Clear Smog and Pollen Puff. So you want the healing and you want the Clear Smog to remove stuff like Dondozo buffs or maybe, you know, just the steamrolling capabilities of another, you know, Calyrex team. The setups coming from Nasty Plots and Calm Minds. Okay, you know, you can wipe all of that away with Clear Smog here. All right, then down here, Oppo, which I think is what might be the coolest team of the top 8. They have Walking Wake Miraidon here. And look at this Miraidon team here. It's Scarf Miraidon, not Specs. Okay, look at all the variations here, right? Miraikun. I would imagine they were trying to make Suicune work. Okay, but they probably said, nah, this is too hard. Let me just put on a Walking Wake over here. So why is there a Walking Wake here with Miraidon? Why is there a Scarf here? Okay, and everything else looks relatively solid, but what is the reasoning with Walking Wake here? This can help you into the Sun teams, right? You imagine going against a Koraidon team on the rise now. Okay, Walking Wake loves that because you have Photosynthesis, you're going to do more damage, you have Life Orb, you get to nuke something. You also have the idea with Aqua Jet Walking Wake here, along with Sucker Punch. So again, a little bit of chip, okay, with the Jet, and then just going crazy. You know, with these attacks here, again, going through Sash and Miraidon just going crazy with the Scarf here. Again, this is what's going to let you outspeed stuff like Chiyu, another Miraidon. You can outspeed some things under Tailwind with your Scarf, which is great. And then Snarl support, again, more damage mitigation. That could be really cool tech into the Shadow Rider, for example, right? And then Incineroar giving you that physical damage reduction at the same time. So all in all, there's some cool tools here if you can run Snarl Scarf here. You're not really worried about certain speed tiers just because the Scarf lets you outspeed other Scarf users and also other Tailwind Pokemon that want to, you know, come into Miraidon here. And then you just have the straight balance stuff with Incin, Amoonguss, Iron Hands here, right? Your defensive backbone here. Miraidon is still very strong in the terrain. And what's really cool about this Iron Hands set is it's Terra Fairy with Play Rough, right? All right, you know, how many of you guys had Play Rough Iron Hands on your bingo card? You know, coming into this, right? This is going to do a lot of damage into, you know, the dragons, the other fighting types running around here. The mirror matchup, right? This can do very well into another Iron Hands mirror. You know what fairy coverage is supposed to do these days, right? So this is an interesting tech here. Fake Out, Wild Charge, Drain Punch here. So instead of like Heavy Slam here, we have Play Rough there. So nice little tech choice there. Works out for Oppo. And then just single strike Urshifu with the Sash. again, better Calyrex matchup in terms of, both the Ice Rider and the Shadow Rider, which is really cool. And then Rocky Helmet Incin yet again. Terra Bug Incin, by the way. So nice little resistance there. The fighting ground stuff. So I haven't really seen Bug Incin. And this is a nice little choice there, right? And then Covert Cloak Amoonguss with Terra Water. With Sludge Bomb stuff. So all in all, really, really cool Miraidon variation. They released a rental, so we're gonna use this team very, very shortly, because this could be something that you might see. Actually, you will see this in Stockholm. I don't know who is gonna use it, but definitely someone will definitely bring this into there, right? Without a doubt. So that's the top 8, right? So all in all, okay, we're going back to this. As long as you have these kinds of flavorings for your team, okay, you can't really go wrong. Okay, do you need everything? You don't, but you definitely need, I would say, at least 3 or 4 of these, right? And it's just gonna help your team be flexible, and it's gonna affect some of your lines in different matchups. The fact that you have Aqua Jet or Thunderclap plus a nuker is going to get around Focus Sash, and it's gonna help you clean up in terms of missing damage that you need for certain KOs. Right, you create pressure with those things, right? Especially when you have like Fake Out and Setup, that's very devastating. Fake Out and Surging Strikes versus just Surging Strikes with no Fake Out. The way you play that is going to be different, right? So all of these things are going to matter when you build your squad. All right, so right away, when we just take a look at the rest of Top Cut here, so already we see 2 Kyogres, only 2, but they're both the same kind of squad here. It's the same Oliver Escalin build, even since last year. It's the Calm Mind Kyogre with the Roaring Moon support with Tailwind and Dark coverage here, right? So again, with Roaring Moon also rising up more in usage, just because a lot of teams have been able to work and make use of it. Tailwind is great. Dark coverage is great into the CSR. Dragon typing is good against the Fire, Water, Grass stuff. And, Acrobatics does great into another Urshifu Rillaboom combination, right? So that's really cool here. And then, just to be able to set up the Calm Minds, you have the Rillaboom and the Incineroar and the Amoonguss for the Fake Outs and redirection to be able to set up this Ogre. Just grassy terrain recovery coupled with leftovers and protect. You're just going to get health back a lot faster, even if you have to take a hit to try and set up this Calm Mind, right? But you have so much mitigation here, just with the Calm Mind, reducing special attack damage, and then Incineroar cycling intimidates. You can win 1v1s or sometimes even 2v1s just because you can cycle and just keep clicking Calm Minds and protect here, right? So all in all, it's still one of the best Kyogre teams to use right now. Then after that, okay, a couple of interesting ideas with Ditto and of course the Clefairy Smeargle stuff. So if we just peep over here, this team from Jonathan, okay, it screens Miraidon, right? So forgoing the hyper offense stuff and just going with screens, and then a little bit of speed control with Thunder Wave, of course. But the Ditto being able to come in and just copy a restricted and a timely moment in a battle is just very devastating, right? And especially with the Sash here, you can copy another CSR and use their own weapon against them, right? And then this is just more standard Incin Iron Hand stuff here. And then Landorus, of course, with the typical ground coverage for like another mirror matchup per se, right? The Calyrex teams here, this actually looks like our rental. The only difference here is that they have a Specs Chiyu, instead of the Scarf, which is what we have on our rental, right? And our Calyrex is also a very bulky Calyrex too with this nasty plot stuff. We are still max speed, but we're not max special attack. We have a lot of, physical bulk, along with some defense investment, coupled with the Clefairy Eviolite. That ruins a lot of damage calcs there. But you still want to keep the same max speed against another Shadow Rider, right? And you have nasty plot there. You don't necessarily need max damage there. You rather have a little bit more survivability with your EVs in that regard, right? And then, as we go forward, here, look at this. Another Ditto Koraidon team here with Room Service, okay? Yes, you read that right, Room Service. All right, so that's going to be pretty cool in Trick Room, right? Because that's going to give you that advantage. This is mainly for the Ice Rider matchup, right? So, you bring that in there, and then you just copy. You're going to be slower. You're going to outspeed them, which is really funny when you think about it. Like your own imposter Calyrex outspeeding their Calyrex. And then after that, standard stuff here with the Photosynthesis combination, with the Koraidon. Very, very strong here. This is Clear Amulet, by the way, so it's not Life Orb or anything like that. And then the Zamazenta is just going to help the Koraidon do more damage. It's going to blow up terrain. You have Pressure with Sucker Punch into another CSR. Incin is just a good balanced Pokemon to have. I'm surprised no Flare Blitz in the Sun, but again, to each their own. It's still very, very good for what it's supposed to do. And then down here, another one with Clefairy, Mienshao, with Feint. Okay, this time we're adding Ferrograph, not going with the Tailwind route. We're going with the Trick Room route, but this one has a little bit more offense because we have Throat Spray over here. So a little bit more damage. You can snipe Amoonguss a little bit better. You can also potentially snipe Iron Hands a little bit better because you have a +1 Psychic going into that. And then Hyper Voice damage with Astral Barrage is also going to be good. Clefairy with Heal Pulse, also nice little support tech there just to heal your Calyrex if it's going to be taking some damage, especially, you know, with the chip that you're getting with Life Orb. So there's something like that. Then the one Dondozo team over here, right? It's actually a Caridon Dondozo team. Interestingly enough, this looks like you could just put a Shadow Rider here, but instead they're going with the Dozo Toxic Spikes idea with Poison Gas here. I don't know how well this is going to be versus the Calyrex Shadow Rider version, but you have ability shield here, which is very interestingly enough. So you're still gonna get your Sun going here, and then it's just a standard set with Flare Blitz, Course, and Dragon Claw. So no booster speed over there. Not booster speed there, but no, you know, Flame Charge. And speaking of no booster speed also, you know, the Flutter Mane more offensive here with Choice Specs. You know, you don't see this too much in Regulation G, but it is here. So you still have speed control here with Icy Wind. You still have your damaging moves here. Okay, and then of course with the Scarf Chiyu, you can get the advantage here with Icy Wind. And then just over speeding and overpowering with them with Snarl and Heat Wave stuff, right? So, you know, do a bunch of chip damage with the Poison Gas stuff, and then just clean up with Dozo or Caridon potentially there. So shout outs to Isaac there. And then is there anything else that we're like missing here that is like kind of standing out here? No. Oh, this one right here. So from Mr. Tiago, Mr. Volvo, Max Ben, look at the hyper offense Calyrex Shadow Rider stuff. Give me expanding force spam with Indeedee, Tailwind user, Urshifu restricted, right? That was the same formula for Lunala, right? It was, you know, the same formula for a while now, but 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That's your core 4 if you want to do the expanding force stuff. The other 2, you know, it just depends on you. They're going with Goggles Ditto, right? So being able to, again, copy another restricted, and then a little bit of support. Sometimes you might see Ogerpon Heartflame. In this case, we're going with another Sturdy Mon with the Ogerpon Cornerstone here, but same idea. Okay, and what's really cool about this Whimsicott set is you don't necessarily have to always rely on the Indeedee for, you know, big damage. You can go fake Tears Whimsicott and just go ham with Astral Barrage. You don't need any nasty plot. I have all the support I need with fake Tears. Just go crazy with E-Force. Okay, and then what you could also technically do is where I lost it here, right? But again, the Indeedee, interesting enough, does not have Trick Room, right? So, you know, just for the Trick Room matchup, you're gonna need this. This is what's going to help you in that case, right? But all in all, it's still a very, very aggressive team. You have to be careful, okay, because this can end games very quickly if you lead wrong, especially when you have fake Tears Whimsicott with the Shadow Rider there. So shoutouts to Tiago there for another aggressive kind of Shadow Rider team, whereas everybody else is just playing, you know, the balance stuff here. How about this one with the Smeargle here, right? So Spore, Fake Out, Follow Me, Wyguard. Yeah, of course, Wyguard is going to come here. The Covert Cloak Calm Mind was popular for a hot minute, and I still like this because, again, this gets you around Icy Wind and Snarl pressure from like another Chiyu, another Flutter Mane. So Covert Cloak is still very, very good, and you still have the same support here, you know, with the double fake outs and the redirection to set up said Calm Mind, right? And then now you're just going for Terra Fairy, Draining Kiss, kind of different from Lunala going for Moonblast Terra Fairy. But all in all, just another way to play the Calyrex Rider team there, right? And the one other Terapagos here from Cone, support Volcarona, right? We've talked about this in a few of our other videos, but again, the fake outs, the redirection, the setup move, the formula is not changing, okay? And then the Flutter Mane double speed control move with Icy Wind and Thunder Wave. One late game Parahax in a game 3 is all you need to win a set, okay? So again, the Urshifu here, with the fake outs and the surging strikes. It's going to do a lot of damage. Hard to stop unless you have something like Fergraph. Even then, it's still going to do a bunch of chip damage. And then all you're really doing is just trying to put things in range for the endgame Terra Starstorm, right? And that's really what it comes down to when it comes to setup teams like that. Okay, but all in all, pretty cool top cut. Some variants there. No Zamazenta, right? I don't think I see. Yeah, not a single one. Wow, that's very interesting. No, not one. There was more Miraidon than Zamazenta. There was more Terapagos than Zamazenta within top cut. So that is very. I didn't miss it, right? You know, I'm not bugging out here. Yeah. All right. So now let's look at still the undercuts over here. There's still the day twos are still teams I want to look at. You know, just because there's still some very strong teams here, and then you know just one win away from top cut there. So I want to peep those teams. We don't want to ignore them. We still want to acknowledge them because there are still squads and niche Pokemon there that still did very well. So we want to peep those. Okay, so even though there weren't too many Zamazentas here, there was at least a common one here with the rain variant. Marco was using it over here, right? And also there was this other more balanced Zamazenta squad here. So we'll take a look at that in a second. But right here, Marco Silva and also David Fernandez there, they were using this idea with Pelipper, with Zamazenta, along with Urshifu. This is not anything new here. This is a very familiar cord that you can use with Zamazenta. It is AV Raging Bull with E-Web's speed control here, right? There's no Tailwind, so this is your main form of speed control. You do have Chien-Pao Ursh for tons of damage here, and then double wide guard support coming from the Pelipper and the Zamazenta here, and then the Amoonguss just give you something to play a little bit more. In the Trick Room idea, you can also just lead Amoonguss Urshifu, redirect things, and just deal a bunch of damage, and just leave things in the end game for stuff like Chien-Pao Zamazenta to clean up. Okay, some interesting Miraidon teams here, right? So look at Eric right here with the Chien-Pao Ursh Iron Hands idea, along with Fergraph and Incin. So this is a little bit of a different build than the usual Miraidon stuff that we've been seeing, right? But again, no close combat on this Ursh, right? For going it, keeping Jet along with Taunt, and then this Iron Hand still no Wild Charge. Okay, Rocky Helmet Incin, yes, for sure. And it is U-turn on this Incin. There is no parting shot on this Incineroar, you know. And then down here, okay, this is more or less the same, you know, Miraidon team that we've been seeing. But down here, Miraidon with the Iron Crown here, and again, this is not expanding force stuff. This is just straight, give me another Cork type Pokemon that can do well with Miraidon. Here it is. So you still have Terra Blast, Terra Ground, Tachyon Cutter, and Psychic. Okay, Psychic stab move there. Give me that big giant nuke into Amoonguss, right? This is AV Miraidon, by the way. It's not Specs, so you know, still can do some decent damage here. You're gonna need a little bit of help with the Chi, of course, to match, but it still works. And then Dozogiri for potential end games is quite funny, you know, if they can't really break it or if they don't have the tools to deal with it, right? Then, you know, one of the Fusation teams that has been able to cut here, right? Renee's team. But again, this is nothing new already. This is just the Tailwind offense with Regidrago and Zacian, you know, creating those pins, clicking Dragon Energy, forcing out a Terra Fairy, and then just nuking them with Behemoth Blade, right? And then a little bit more balanced stuff with the Heart Flame and the Fergraph, just in case. Okay. This Pagos team is a little bit more interesting, right? So it's still the Calm Mind substitute stuff with the Incin Rillaboom, but you have the Screen Tail here. That's because, again, you can lock against the Zamazenta teams there, right? You can disable, you can Encore lock them. So this way, you know, they can't click their moves, and then Pagos is just kind of free to set up here and just go crazy. This one is a pretty interesting Shadow Rider team, right? From Giuseppe, you got the double Genie with Indeedee Calyrex here. So, you know, you have Expanding Force, Terra Blast, Terra Fighting, cool tech, right? We've seen this before. But again, of course, the Tornadus with Rain Dance, enabling both the Landers and the Urshifu on this team, right? And it is the Sash Urshifu here, which is smart. And then Indeedee offering Expanding Force damage, and then offering something to just keep Trick Room teams at bay by just going for your own Trick Room, or just being able to use this against another Tailwind team and just clicking Trick Room when they do that. Very, very cool. And then Incin with AV, you know, being able to take an Earth Power from a Lander is huge to be able to survive, and then just re-pivoting out into something else goes a long way there. So that's a pretty cool Shadow Rider team in and itself. Then you have the Heatran Pagos teams here at number 30 and number 33. You know, just again, the Heatran has been a pretty good partner with Pagos. You know, just with the Terra Fairy stuff, especially against Calyrex, can't really hit it all that well. You resist the fighting damage, and then you can't even click a fire move, right? The trapping capabilities with Heatran and Screamtail is devastating, right? Because you click Magma Storm, and then they're just encored or / disabled, and they can't switch out and reset because of Magma Storm. Then the Pagos just kind of goes hand behind Substitute and just clicks Calm Mind in your face, right? The disrespect that they can do, right? So that's an option. Then you have Geo over here, right? With something that he's used for a while now, right? This is just standard Miraidon. Give me a Ditto for that Trick Room Ice Rider matchup, and just give me the good stuff with the Photosynthesis Mons and a Chiyu, right? This one is, we used this before, right? This is the Parabolic Charge Calm Mind Miraidon. The AV Tinkaton, again, with the Feint support. Very, very good set. And again, manual electric terrain, just in case, you know, Rillabooms come out. You can just do that and then just go kind of crazy with Parabolic Charge, especially with Oranguru over here, you know, with Symbiosis, which is kind of funny when you think about it. All right, we used that team before, so nice to see that back over here again. Is there anything else that I'm really missing over here? You know, as I go down here, yeah, we just period again, more Screamtail, Heatran stuff there. Oh, this one. Well, this is still the Sneasler Miraidon stuff there. We saw this from the Nielsen Bros, right? Gun shot coaching into your Iron Hands, still very good right now. Blood Moon makes a little bit of a return on this. Usually we saw this in the beginning with the discharge stuff, but again, still very, very good here. So all things considered, nice. Oh, this one is this is Tub Nation, right? A little bit. One of their earlier Calyrex-Ice Rider teams, right? With the Electabuzz and the Annihilate, going for Final Gambit or coaching into the Ice Rider, just going crazy with it. Spore and Decorate, of course. You know, the idea, what you want to do is just EV this, so this way under Trick Room, Decorate goes first. You click Glacial Lance, and things melt, of course. We've seen that before. How about this one? Yeah, this is one of the, I think, was this the older Justin Tang, Shilian Tang, Kyogre team, right? The Wo-Chien is 1 point faster than the Ogre. You can Pollen Puff the Ogre, hide behind your screens, and just kind of go crazy with these Water Spouts because you get to keep this healthy, right? Iron Jugulus over the Roaring Moon, you know, just with Snarl and Tailwind support, not having to worry about Intimidate. So all in all, pretty cool there. And this is one of those, also, I know we're down to the 5-4s, but, you know, again, the Iron Hands being able to be slapped onto these Tailwind support teams, especially the Shadow Rider here, okay, just goes to show you, very worthy of that S tier slot that we gave it in our tier list video. And there's the Wolf Click team here. We don't even need to click that, right? But all in all, these are teams that we've seen before, you know, for months now. Just people are utilizing them, but we did see some tech choices, which is kind of funny. So moving forward, I do expect to see a lot of these teams in Stockholm, just because they've been proven for a while now. They're very strong, they're very successful. If you were good last year in Regulation G and you're still good now, you know, it just goes to show you that the team is very, very good for what it's supposed to do, right? But nice to see Walking Wake on Miraidon over here. Very, very cool set there. Choice Scarf Miraidon might get a little bit more exploration moving forward. And then, you know, some similar stuff with Ice Rider teams are still going strong here. The Kyogre Origin Pulse teams are still looking pretty good with Roaring Moon here. The CSR teams, you know, with just Tailwind support and Clefairy is still very, very good. So, yeah. We didn't see any Lunala stuff here, of course, right? But, of course, people are going to try and use that into Stockholm. All right, but yeah, let me know what you thought of this Victory Road tournament. If there was anything that stood out to you that maybe we missed. But, you know, nice to see some cool Pokemon here, like Iron Boulder and Walking Wake within the top cut here. All right, but that's it for now, folks. We'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.